Sayyid ibn Zayd. So we continue with the penultimate of our Ashraf al-Mubasharun. So the nugget that we're going to bring for Sayyid. Sayyid, subhanAllah, we've already heard about him in our lectures today. And what we heard about him is who was he the husband of? Anyone remember? No one? MashaAllah, Mubarak. He was the husband of the sister of Umar ibn al-Khattab. So the scene where we had on the day of Umar's conversion, he was the man who Umar was beating on, the husband of Umar's sister. Sayyid was a man who was always wanting to serve the people. He was in the service of Islam. He would stand by Rasulullah on the battlefield. He would stand by Rasulullah helping the miskin. He would stand by the people feeding the poor people. He would stand by the people doing all of those things which was servitude to the Muslims. At one point in his life, he liked to be in the dirt, in the sand, doing the service of the Muslims. At one point in his life, he became the governor of Damascus. He was appointed as governor of Damascus by Umar al-Khattab. And as the governor of Damascus, he wasn't very comfortable. So he was standing on his balcony in Damascus, the palace of the governor's palace in Damascus, looking out. And he went out every day for 3 months. Umar was appointed him governor. Remember what I said? He loved to be serving the people, not ruling the people, serving. As the governor of Damascus, he wanted to make sure he was able to serve, but as a governor, you've got to govern. You can't be doing everything yourself. The empire is too big now. 3 months, he looked out every day of his balcony from this palace, wishing that he was in the dirt. By in the dirt, I mean serving the people, with the people, helping the people. He wrote a letter to Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, and he said, I'm so sorry, I can't do this anymore. Appoint somebody better than me. I need to go back to servitude. And what did he do? He went back to helping the miskin, helping the homeless, helping the poor, feeding the people, cleaning the mosque. Service. So even after becoming a governor, even after having palaces, even having all of these things, he knew the value in servitude. Now, where's our lesson in that? How many of us, again, the finger points at me before anyone else, we attend an event and we don't want to be the ones clearing up. We don't want to be the ones feeding. We want to be fed. We want to be looked after. We go to a wedding, you don't want to be the one serving, you want to be served. You're in whatever it is, any situation you think of, are we the ones that like to be in servitude or the ones who like to be served? And modern society, globally, modern society is one where status is the people who are served. Served, yes? Everywhere you go in the world. Muslim country, non-Muslim country, you go to the moon, the person of status is the one who's served. What was one of the names of Rasulullah, the titles of Rasulullah? Abdullah wa Rasul. Abd, slave. The highest status a human being can get is a slave of Allah, a slave. Every day in our salah, what do we say? إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. To you we enslave ourselves. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. For you I worship. I enslave myself. I worship you. And you alone we ask for help. And part of our worship of Allah, part of our servitude to Allah is servitude to the slaves of Allah. We saw earlier people who were trying to serve the women giving birth, to save their children. That's servitude. Sayyid is saying here, I don't want to be in this position of authority. I want to be serving, because he recognized the value in servitude. That was our nugget for Sayyid. Actually, sorry, I'm going to give you one more nugget. One more nugget. Sorry. It's relevant. Sayyid, after all of his servitude and all the battles and fighting bravely and all of these things, everything he attempted to do, in fact, some battles he was so determined to become shaheed, he once turned to one of his other companions companions and said, I'm going to become a shaheed today. Go and tell the others. Do you have any message for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Have you got a message for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Because I'm going to become shaheed. He didn't become shaheed. He lived and fought like a warrior. He was always trying to serve, trying to become shaheed, trying to become of this status. And when he finally died, he went to Salat al-Fajr and he died. Having come back to his house, he died in his sleep, in his bed. Saʿd ibn Abi Waqqas and Abdullah ibn Umar, they would take the body to bury Saঈd and they would make his janazah. And they said that when we carried the body away to bury him and make his janazah, we had the sweetest smell of perfume, of musk. Who, when they die, smells of perfume? Anyone know? The shuhada, the martyrs. So he's tried his whole life to become a martyr. He didn't manage it on the battlefield. But he was given that scent of perfume before he died. Why? Because Rasulullah said, the majority of my ummah that died as shuhada, as martyrs, will die in their beds. This is so important. Martyrdom is not just on the battlefield. And for them, there were battlefields. For us, what's the battlefield? There's no battlefield. Unless we realize the battlefield. Our Rasul said the greatest jihad is jihad al-nafs. The greatest jihad is jihad al-nafs. If you're fighting against your own soul, fighting to be the best you could be, fighting against your own nafs, you can die shaheed in your own bed. And let me give you two examples. And the second one, I'm cheating by bringing someone who's not from the 10. But this example of Saঈd, he died in this situation, in his bed, asleep, but he had the smell of perfume of a shaheed. The other one I want to mention, because subhanAllah, this is just worthy to understand the status of some people and how Allah chooses what He chooses for people. Khalid bin Walid, he's not on the list of 10. But I'm going to bring it because it's relevant to this. The majority of my ummah that die shaheed die in their beds. Khalid bin Walid on his deathbed. He lay with a fever, burning hot, and he turned to his companion on his deathbed and he said, do you see a single handspan of my entire body that does not have the scars of a sword or a spear or an arrow? His whole body was covered. He fought over 100 battles. He won 100 battles. He says, do you see a single handspan of my body that is not scarred by a sword, a spear or a lance? A sword, an arrow or a lance, a spear. He said, yet I lie dying in my bed like an old camel, a fever. His companion turned to him and he said, oh Khalid, you could never have died on the battlefield. Because the day Rasulullah named you Sayf Allah, the sword of Allah. If you had died on the battlefield, a disbeliever would have claimed that they broke the sword of Allah. Amazing words. Amazing wisdom. Only Allah knows, is he shaheed, is he not? But after fighting 100 battles for the sake of Allah, only Allah knows what status he did. But I will say, Rasulullah said the majority of my ummah that die in